So you guys have heard this before. The money's in the list. Anybody heard that phrase? Yes, for sure. Now, I asked on the Mediavine, or the conference Facebook page, I asked all y'all to give me a representation on how do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 of email awesomeness. And I would say that the average was probably in around 1 to 2. I was like, man, you guys need some confidence. Let's go. So what's your individual problem? Maybe you are paying for people who aren't opening your emails. Anybody like that? Okay, 2 people, thank you. How about those that are coming up with exclusive content for their emails constantly? All right, same 2 people, great. Nobody has time to manage all those emails, setting up effective campaigns that actually do something. Or maybe you have no idea how to make money from your list. Anybody? Honestly no, no idea. Okay, all right, good. Or sad cat, have no strategy at all. Very sad. All right, yeah. All right, so this is me. Like I said, emailjumpstart.com/MV is where you'll get the slides and the stuff. Now, I live in Arizona. This is my family. There are, my oldest is 20, my youngest is 15, and then this is my smoking hot wife. This slide is not for you, this slide is for me. She's actually here somewhere. Not here. I don't know, she's around in Chicago somewhere, so we'll find her, hopefully. What I do is I work with a lot of people like yourselves who are killing it online, and I help them to get better at their email strategy, all right? So today, I'm going to talk about what I talk about with them, and that is how to grow your list, what to send that'll get opened and clicked, and what can you put on Autopilot? What can you automate so you don't have to write that same email over and over and over again, all right? So I have a website myself. PictureTheMagic.com is devoted to information about Disney cruising, and I launched that site in September of 2016, and 24 months later, by the time I had done these practices that I'm going to share with you, I had 40,000 email subscribers. Okay, so I'm going to share with you now what I did. Does that sound all right? Nobody cares. I don't care what you did, Molen. Sit down. Bring back the wine. All right, so let's talk about this, though, first. Why you need to build your list. I'm going to guess, we're going to go through this part fast. I'm going to guess that you've heard this before, but it's worth mentioning that you need to build your list because this is what you own. Anybody here recently affected by a Google update? Anybody? No? Okay, same 2 people. Anybody impacted by the recent outage of Facebook and Instagram? That hurt a little bit, some of us. So we want to own our list. That's what we control. Additionally, building a list is a fantastic way for you to engender engagement, for you to actually connect with somebody that's on the other side of a computer. Yes, you can do that on social. Yes, you can kind of do that in comments. And yes, you can do that in Facebook groups. But email is even more intimate than that. You have access to send them something from your computer to theirs that'll give a really good chance that they'll see it. And they have a really good chance of hitting reply and getting back to you with their innermost thoughts and feelings. It's wonderful. Additionally, along those same lines, through email, we can build our brand. How many of you are concerned about where your brand fits in the overall internet landscape? Some of us are kind of struggling to make ourselves known. Well, in email, you can actually explain who you are, why you're different, and what's special about you. And I'm going to show you some ways that you can do that. And in so doing, by building that brand, you're going to be creating superfans. These are the people that open your stuff, click your links, tell their parents about you. It's wonderful. All right? So let's talk about that stuff. First, before I go into any email stuff, I want to talk about Marketing 101. Who is your target reader? Honest to goodness, how many feel like you've nailed who your target reader is? Like you know, only 5 of you. Are the rest of you, seriously, are you guys worried about it or are you just being shy? You don't know? Okay. All right. So this is really, really important when it comes to marketing is if you know your audience, you can serve them much easier. And email is no exception to that. If you know who you're emailing and you understand what she cares about, you're going to do a much better job. You're going to be much more effective. Ultimately, email marketing is like any other like any other piece of marketing. It is, the whole point of it is to solve somebody's problem. If you can solve my problem as a reader, I'm going to come back. So you're going to hear me talk about solving your readers' problems over and over and over again. All right? In order to do that, understanding who your audience really helps. That's the end of that part of this discussion. We're moving on. Oh, darn it. It's not. Number one target reader, who do you want to be on your list? Look, there's even an image of focus, focus, focus. I think that's the point of that. Let's move on. All right, so what problem can you solve? Do you know how you add value to your reader's life? Do you? Yes, do not look this way ever again. All right, good. Let's talk about how you grow your list. Now, I've come to a lot of these types of conferences. It's been in your situation, and a lot of times they talk about theory, and they talk about broad level concepts. I'm going to give you a very specific, actionable strategy that you can go use. Now, if it doesn't fit you exactly, I think the principles that I'm going to share, if you're paying attention, you can apply to your business. All right? So, follow along with me here. I want you to meet my friend Martha. Martha is sitting in her kitchen, obviously, on her nondescript, unbranded laptop, enjoying a nice glass of milk. She's got a glass of milk, guys. What is she thinking? What does she want? What sounds good to her right now? That's right. Some bang bang sauce sounds good to her. I don't even know what bang bang sauce is. I just thought it was funny. So what does she do? She Googles bang bang sauce. Be careful here. Oh, here's what comes up. All right? Now, her first result, her first real result down here is this bang bang sauce from somebody named the Cookie Rookie. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go check that out. Now, Martha, she's moving along here, right? Where does she go? She lands, ta-da, bang bang sauce. So what does she do? Play along. She makes it, yes, very good. We're really cranking. She makes the bang bang sauce. She follows the recipe to a T, and she loves it. Best bang bang sauce ever. Then what does she do, guys? That's exactly right. She bounces. 80 to 90%. I don't know Becky's stats here. I'm just guessing that this is probably pretty close, right? That she probably bounces. What happened to her? Why didn't she tell her friends about the bang bang sauce? She didn't care that much. No, she did. She loved this bang bang sauce. You don't understand. Here's the problem. When she got there through Google, she was completing a transaction. She's in transaction mode. So your typical visitors, when they arrive on your website, are in transaction mode. Whether they're coming from Google or Pinterest or they found you in a Facebook group or Marco Polo, I don't know. It doesn't matter. When they get there, they're hungry. Martha's making her bang bang sauce, and then she's done. Because you know what she can do next time? She can Google it again. Google is a fantastic online cookbook, isn't it? They've done a really good job of providing us with amazing recipes from people like Becky. All right? So let's use that to our advantage. How do we get more subscribers? All y'all are here because you're getting a certain amount of traffic to your website. So it's safe for me to play this game with you. Use your existing traffic. We need an email hook. Now, I did not invent the idea behind a lead magnet. All right? I wish I had, but this was not my invention. But we're going to talk about lead magnets for a second, or email hooks. What makes a good email hook? Well, first, it needs to grab your reader, and not just any reader, but your target reader. Next, it should solve your reader's problem. It's best if it arrives in the inbox instantly, instant gratification, because we all have a little bit of a attention deficit disorder when it comes to what we're doing online. And last but not least, showcase you as an expert. Why do you know what you know? How are you able to solve this reader's problem? Here's a whole bunch of different types of email hooks. You guys have seen these before. Printables, downloadables, checklists, ebooks, courses, bonus content. Anybody using any of these? 3 people again. Wonderful. Same 3 people every time. All right, so here's the deal. The problem that most email hooks have is that they it's one or the two or the both, is that they take time and or skill and or money to create. Like you're going to make a big old course, that takes a long time. If you're going to make an ebook, you might have to hire somebody to do that. And ultimately, in a lot of cases, they aren't that effective at targeting that reader that ultimately is who you want to serve, that will become your super fan going forward. Thank you for nodding your head back there. It makes me feel validated. It helps. Thank you. Okay. All right, I have a different solution. I call this a QuickStart guide. Now, a QuickStart guide is a short series of emails that leads new readers to the very best content that you have to offer. Now, what we're doing here is we are going to take some really valuable content, we're going to group it together and put it in an order that makes sense for your reader. Furrowed brow, we'll get there, trust me, hang on. So here's how it works. 1 email lesson per day for 3 to 5 days. And the reason this works is that when people get started with something, especially something new, they just want to get going. They just want to get going quickly. They could check out Wikipedia, or they could go to the library and buy a big old book, or whatever, right? They could do all the research, but what they want is they just want to get going. So this is why a QuickStart guide works well. When we can simplify the topic for our reader and make something really easy and digestible for them to understand, we're doing them a huge favor, okay? So what I love about this is that you can use your existing content that you've already written, and we're going to put it together and create this QuickStart guide. All right, but Matt, all this content is already on my site. Can't they just find it there? Could they find it there? Yes, they could. Will they find it there? No, they will not. They will not bother. Because remember 80 to 90% bounce? Right, they're not doing that. Okay, so the beauty of the QuickStart guide is it will save your readers time. It makes it easy for them to get a hold of your very best content. In the process, you start to become a subject matter expert to them, somebody that knows what you're talking about. And you get to bring them back to your blog. They're coming back to your site. They're getting used to seeing your logo, seeing your face in the About on the sidebar. They're starting to get to know who you are. And you're training them, by giving them something awesome, you're training them to open and click future emails. So we're going to solve your reader's problem by helping her make sense of something new. All right, so again, here's how this works. You probably lost some of you. So 1 email lesson per day for 3 to 5 days. Now this eye chart here shows you kind of how this works. All right? The gist of it is that every day you're sending them a different email. And each email has a different lesson. A lesson is simply a part of that topic that you have thematically grouped together that you can teach them that day, all right? I'll show you a better example. And it gets sent 1 every day, 24 hours apart. All right, here's an example. Allie from Baking a Moment, she has a QuickStart guide titled 5 Secrets for Baking Impossibly Soft Cookies. Anybody want an impossibly soft cookie? Nobody? I do. Okay, I'd take one. Because surprise, Mevine's brought in cookie. Oh, sorry. Who wants an impossibly hard cookie? Nobody. She does a really good job of getting people that want those cookies. All right, this is one from my site. When you land on our Disney Cruise Tips page, you get shown this in the sidebar as a pop-up embedded, what to expect on your first Disney cruise. The Classy Clutter Girls have 5 secrets to transform any space in your home right now. So imagine you are Googling, you are Pinteresting, and you're landing on the Classy Clutters site, and before you bounce, you get introduced to this. This one's kind of fun. Ralphie from Simply on Purpose, she is a parenting expert, and she is Instagram only. But she did the same thing, guys, with a QuickStart guide. She called it Staying Safe, Why We Yell, Why It Doesn't Work, and What to Do Instead. And this little course used existing content that she already had, and she just repurposed it, threw together 3 emails that went bang, 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 and she got 20,000 plus subscribers in 2 weeks. Sally's Baking Addiction, she has her secrets. Baking Made Easy, where she reveals her most powerful secrets. So let's go through an imaginary QuickStart guide with an imaginary vegan food blogger. Okay? Let's just say that the QuickStart guide was called any one of these. QuickStart Guide to Delicious Vegan Meals. Cooking for Vegan, Easier Than You Think. Eating Vegan, Beginner's Guide to Transforming Your Diet. So if you're a vegan food blogger, this might be something you could do. There's a good chance as a vegan food blogger, you already have content on your site that might answer these, you might be able to use to teach these people, right? So here's some lessons, examples. These could be articles that you already have on your site. 26 reasons to go vegan. What happens to your body when you stop eating meat, and so forth. Conceivable that you already have that content, right? And see how those now become a lesson each day? Grouped together on a QuickStart guide to becoming vegan? Are you getting this? Make sense? No. Okay, good. All right. All right, here's an example of what that email, I always get the question, so what does that email look like? What are you putting in that email? Well, 50 tasty vegan lunches. All right, I'm going to break this down for you here, but you can see it's really short, and it's got a button or a really big link that sends them back to your site. I'm not talking about super fancy, guys. All right, this is simple. We're getting them from the inbox back to your site, and we're solving their problems. We're becoming a subject matter expert in the process. All right, first off, write a great subject line. I got to breeze through this, guys, but you're getting the gist of it. By the way, all these slides are in that link that I showed earlier. Write a great subject line. I'm going to skip over this. Oh, yeah. So you can see here, lesson number 1, 50 tasty vegan lunches. As a new vegan, the prospect of 50 tasty vegan lunches sounds pretty good. Add some personal experience. Show that you can relate to your reader. So in this case, you may not be able to read that there in the back, but it says, when I decided to live a true vegan lifestyle, I found that breakfast and dinner were fairly easy for me. I guess it's because at breakfast time, I'm usually at home and more control of my environment and have all the kitchen and food choices in front of me. But lunch, that was a different story. See how I made that a personal thing? But I'm stating the problem that the reader has. And here I'm going to exacerbate that problem right here. Tasty lunches for vegans can be hard. It requires forethought and planning. And what can you make that's fast, inexpensive, is something you can take to work or school or whatever. Next up, simply explain that you have a solution and that your solution will solve their problem. In the example here, I made a comprehensive list of tasty, quick, and easy to prepare vegans that I know you will love. And then provide a link. Was that the wrong one? Oh, I'm very hungry. Don't judge me. I'm new to this vegan thing, okay? For me, it's mostly about microwave burritos, so anytime I talk about food, I'm really out of my comfort zone. Anyway, provide one link. The whole point of this, people get hung up on just one link. The point that I'm making here is make it super darn obvious what you want them to click. No distractions. You notice I don't have social icons and stuff in there? I just want them to do one thing, and that's click to where I want them to go. Oh, there it is. And make it big. Nice, big, and bold. All right? And then you can finish up with a nice tease that says, see you tomorrow when I'll share with you 25 delicious vegan recipes that are designed for weight loss. All right? Here's an example of a real-life email from one of the people that I mentioned before, Sally's Baking Addiction. She has, one of her secrets in here is, how to bake the perfect chocolate chip cookie. Everybody loves chocolate chip cookies. By the way, side note, if you ever want a subject line to work, just insert the word chocolate chip cookie in it and you're probably good. Anyway, she says, it's day 3 of Sally's Secrets Baking Made Easy. Here's the problem with most chocolate chip cookie recipes on the internet. They overspread. Guys, this is a serious problem. The overspreading epidemic is happening. Sally will save us. She says, want the perfect chocolate chip cookie? Yeah, I kind of do. Today I'm sharing the most popular cookie recipe on my site. Seriously, over 700 reviews. These delights are super thick, chewy, and easy to make. We really should have cookies in here, Mediavine. That really should be happening. I I even published this cookie recipe in my best-selling cookbook, Sally's Cookie Addiction. Subject matter expertise, humble brag, very well done. Then, look at this. She goes an extra step. She actually gives 5 secrets to chocolate chip cookie perfection. She is explaining that she has the solution with this. But how do you actually get this? There's really only one way. You have to click, right? So, that is the QuickStart guide. There are a lot more examples on that URL right there, if you want to go see a whole bunch more examples of how that works. All right? What if I don't have existing content? Well, it's time to start writing. You should be doing that anyway. All right. So that's the QuickStart guide. I'm going to take questions at the end, so write them down if you have questions about the QuickStart guide, and I will answer them. And if we have a little bit of time, I'll do one right here, right now with y'all, because I'll show you how simple it is. But I want to share with you a couple other topics. One of the things I wanted to talk about is how to send emails that get opened and clicked. Okay, so how many of you think you're writing great emails? Anybody? Yes! All right, one person. The rest of you, listen up. Ask yourself this question every time you're sending the email. Why am I sending this email? Sometimes you honestly don't know. Is it like because I think I'm supposed to? Is it because it's Friday and I'm supposed to send a newsletter? Why am I sending this email? If you can't figure that out, I guarantee you your reader doesn't get it. Here's 4 characteristics of a great email. First, it solves a problem for your reader. That's the power of the pause. Next, it's easy to understand. Let's use 3rd grade words, people. Fourth, yes, this is 4th. 3rd is invisible. 3rd, it's easy to read. We do not want big blocks of text in email. Nobody wants that. Nobody reads that stuff. Simple and short, and last, to the point. Get to the point. The whole concept of your email, in most cases, now there's exceptions to every rule, of course, is to get them from their inbox back to wherever you want them to go. If you can answer these 2 questions for your reader, you are doing better than most people that send emails. Number 1, what problem will this email solve for me? And second, how do I get the solution? If those 2 things are super, super clear, you're going to be doing great. How is that for oversimplifying how to write a great email? The validation in this room is amazing. Okay, how to become an expert authority and gain superfans. All right, so here's the gist of it, guys. The more that we answer people's problems, and the more that in every email we do an awesome job of providing value, they're going to love us, right? And become our superfans. But if we start talking about, I don't know, what I did this weekend and my cats, they don't care. Unless you're Taylor Swift, they don't care about your cats. And if you're Taylor Swift, oh my gosh, you're Taylor Swift. So as you build trust, you're going to be building fans. There are a lot of different subject line formulas out there. I often get asked, what makes a perfect subject line? My favorite formula, and here's 77, you can get a whole bunch of them here, but my favorite formula is curiosity plus self-interest equals opens. Curiosity plus self-interest. All right, I'm going to move on from that. Let's talk about, this is what I really came here to talk to you about. I'm excited about this. I love this because it means less work for y'all, more opens and clicks, happiness and world peace, probably, okay? Putting your email on autopilot. Oh, dang it, I have to talk about this. All right, so here's why I don't love RSS emails as the default. Now, Some people do RSS emails with a whole different set of, next level class, and that's awesome. But most of us that are doing RSS emails, you know how this works, right? What's happening when you send an RSS-driven email? Somebody explain it to me. It's your blog post. Okay, so I recently got an email at 7 in the morning from a blogger that I follow, and the subject line was pineapple coleslaw. Now, I can't tell you how often at 7 in the morning I'm in the mood for pineapple coleslaw. Right? Is anybody in the mood for pineapple coleslaw at 7 in the morning? I don't even know what that is. So when you get that email, how is that addressing my problem? How is that solving what I'm thinking about? How about instead, want to wow your friends at your next barbecue? Oh, yeah, well, OneADay's coming up, or whatever, right? I mean, a little bit different. So that's the problem with RSS-driven emails as the default. I use them, and they have a place in my system for sure. But as the only thing you're sending, I worry about that. This technique, however, I really love, and I believe that this is pure gold for any content creator. And I want to explain to you how to put your best content on Autopilot. Anybody follow James Clear? Anybody know who he is? Oh, guys, he's awesome. Seriously, if you're getting nothing out of this talk, go write him down. For those of you who are achievers, he's all about habits. So I was following him. I started following him in July of 2017. And he's sending me emails like this, how to break a bad habit and replace it with a good one. And I'm like, oh, this guy's genius. I love his stuff. So here, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to get over here. These are the first 10 or so emails that I received from James. You can see down here it started on July 14th of 2017 and repeated for about one a week for the first month or so. And he was sending me these incredible emails. And I was opening and clicking in every one of them. I loved it. Here's what this looks like to the reader. Well, it's all new to me. I'm like, James is over there typing up an email right now. Boom. Hit send. Thank you, James. Here's what it looks like to James. I went back. I did some research. I put on my Nancy Drew hat. And I went in and I looked up, when did he write these articles? So the first two, as it turns out, these are welcome emails. The very first one that comes in the series after those, he wrote in 2013. The next one he wrote in 2016. There was one from July of 2017. There was one from 2015, 2016, 2015, 2017. You see where I'm going with this, right? Imagine this. You have somebody that's new to your blog. She lands there and she loves it. She signs up for your subscribe to this, or better yet, your QuickStart guide. She gets onto your newsletter, and she starts receiving amazing content from you every single week that links you back to your blog. Think about that person that was previously in transaction mode and is now getting the best of your site, where you're solving her problems over and over again in an order that makes sense. I call this concept the Forever series. Now, I'm oversimplifying a concept, guys. Does it go on forever? It could, if you have that much content, but follow me with the concept. It's an automated sequence that provides answers to your readers' questions before they even think to ask. So here's how it works. You create a series of your best articles, your best recipes, your best messages, whatever it may be. You put them in an order that makes sense for your target reader. You get to decide on the timing. What's the right frequency? Do you send weekly? Do you send monthly? What do you do? But you can still automate this. And when you write something new, you simply add a new email into the right spot in that series. So what do you do with something new? I just kind of touched on this. If you write something new, well, it's your series. What James could do is he could switch this around. He could drop it in the beginning. He could put it at the end. He could put it there. He could switch those around. That one sucks, so he can get rid of it. He can do all those things, all right? So it's his series. He's in control of it. Now let's go back to my personal example here. when you sign up for what to expect on your first Disney cruise, that QuickStart guide I was telling you about, this is Alicia's Forever series. This is what it looks like. Email number 1, no matter whether it's January or June or Christmas, email number 1 is always the most powerful Disney cruise tip I ever heard. And the reason for that is because it's legit awesome. And what we're doing is we're giving them the best right up front, proving to them that we know what we're talking about. Next up, is a Disney cruise really worth the time and money? What's included? My best castaway key secrets, 11 things to do, and so forth. We have thought through this journey for our reader. Now, I realize some of you are doing food, some of you are doing crafts, some of you are doing lifestyle, some of you are doing travel. I get it. And this journey is real obvious, right? Somebody's going on a Disney cruise, they have like about 18 months before the cruise, they spent a crap ton of money, they're worried about this, this, and this. I get it. But what if you could do that for your reader? What if you could put your arm around that shoulder of that brand new reader that just came into your site and you said, this is the best of julieblanner.com. Let me show it to you. Boom, boom, boom. That'd be weird because you're not Julie Blanner, but if you were, it'd be awesome. All right, I'm use Sally again here from Sally's Baking Addiction. I just want to show you what one of these emails looks like. I keep forgetting to put the subject line on here, but the subject line was awesome. It was the cookie that launched a cookbook. All right? Curiosity meets self-interest. I'm a little curious about that. It's good enough to launch a cookbook. I'm checking that out, right? So then she goes on, and again, the whole goal here, she introduces it, she explains why she has the solution, and bam, there's the solution. A link back to her site. Simple. Not complicated. She writes this one time, and it just goes. So I don't know where this is in her sequence. Let's say this is number 4 in her Forever series. Every new subscriber, boom, 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 number 4, they're getting this. It doesn't matter if it's January or May or when. She's also got in her Forever series, I thought this was interesting, she's got the 14 tools every baker needs. What do you think this is when you click to this? This is an affiliate play, as far as I can tell. That's pretty smart. And she puts that on Autopilot. So again, if this is email number 10, she's making money off that. And it's just running. And by the way, it really helps her reader. Her readers trust her and her advice, and they want to know what tools she uses. So because you understand your readers, you can answer their questions with your best stuff. Not your latest stuff, but your greatest stuff. Hey, that rhymed. Awesome. And you can lead them where they should go next. All right, what about that non-evergreen stuff? Well, obviously, if you're going to be on Oprah, okay, that's a dated reference. If you're going to be on, help me out. Ellen, dang it. Wine o'clock, I guess. If you're going to be on Ellen, you want your readers to know about it. So I call those broadcasts. How often can you send broadcasts? Well, as often as you are providing value. It's not spam as long as you continue to provide value. I know that's a non-answer, but it's really true. If you continue to hit my solution every single time, you are really helping me out. So quite often I have people that are doing something along these lines, maybe a Forever series on a Monday and a broadcast on a Thursday. A lot of us want to introduce the newest thing that we have. Well, on a broadcast, that's a great time to be thinking more about what is on your reader's mind. Let's go through the exercise right now. If you are a food blogger right now, what is this? It's June 13th. It's June 13th. So what's coming up in our readers' minds, recipe bloggers? Father's Day, okay? If I did pineapple coleslaw this week, would it make sense for me to send pineapple coleslaw, or would it make more sense for me to send 10 treats for Pops, right? Grilling is coming up. We've got 4th of July. We've got, hey, the kids are out of school and they're driving me crazy. I mean, there's just so many things. Let's think about what our readers want, and then you can go back and use, if it's new content, great. If it's old content, great. That's how I do broadcasts. I'm going to blow through all this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to get to questions. I saw furrowed brows. So what we've talked about today is I've given you the QuickStart guide, I've given you the Forever series, and I've given you ideas for subject lines. Okay, now, who wants a QuickStart guide? Anybody? I'm selling them right here. You want one? Okay, we'll do one right now. What's your topic? What's your name? Yes. Beth. So glad you came, Beth. What is your topic?
I do fun food.
Fun food?
Treats, cookies, cupcakes, cheesecakes.
Okay.
It's all party food and quality.
All right.
So I have struggled with how do I solve a problem.
Okay. All right, let's do it for her. You don't get to participate, Beth. All right, fun food. You guys understand what fun food is, right? Okay, what would be a QuickStart guide title for her? Okay. Five secrets for the best cupcakes. Okay, good. Do you have good cupcakes?
I have fewer recipes. They're more like crafts. They're like food crafts.
Food crafts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cookies that look like cute animals.
I'm really glad I picked you, Beth. This is awesome. Okay. Yes.
What about like 5 ways to like make a child's birthday treat memorable?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. See, we're just getting started here. What I would probably do if I was working with you, Beth, is I would take 5 things that you're really proud of that kind of fit that same theme of something awesome you can do with your kids together, or awesome ways to celebrate, or something. I mean, we would go through ideas like that, and then we would take the 5, and then we would come up with a title like this to add them together. All right? Who's confused about the QuickStart guide concept? Who has questions about it? Yes?
Can it be seasonal, or is that just a bad idea? Should you say
No,
evergreen?
no, absolutely. So the concept here is it just will have a shorter shelf life.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Yeah, it's not
But
forever.
it's not, well, but that's the Forever series. This is a QuickStart guide. So I have, well, heck, Sally just did this at Easter time. She changed her baking secrets. She put out a QuickStart guide around Easter treats. I don't remember what it was called, but it's something about doing awesome stuff at Easter. And she killed it. She grew her list big time. So yes, you absolutely can do that.
But then how do you get people from the QuickStart guide to the Forever series? Like,
Okay.
I don't know if I understand the difference.
Yeah, okay, so QuickStart guide is just getting them onto the list. It is 5 emails in a row. They've given you permission to be in their inbox 3 to 5 days in a row. That's pretty powerful. Remember, they came to you from Pinterest. They don't know who you are other than a pretty picture and a recipe. They go on they subscribe to the QuickStart guide. Now they got 5 emails in a row from you where it was like legit awesome stuff, the best you've got related to that topic. Now they're on the list. Now begins the Forever series. And we said, these don't have to be in order. The Forever series doesn't have to be sequential. These are like episodes of Seinfeld, not like Days of Our Lives. All right? So in that situation, you just start it up. And email 1, and you just 1 per week. Did that answer that?
Yeah, no, that totally.
Okay.
So then you start sending them just your general content?
Yes.
And what would that be?
Well, you want to solve their problems,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, 'cause I'm thinking like, I'm sorry. So I have a parenting lifestyle blog that covers a lot of different topics.
Okay.
But like one of the topics that I have is on potty training that's very popular. But potty training is, like a short, I guess, piece of a person's life, of a parent's life. I
Yes.
don't want anyone to be potty training forever.
No.
And so I guess, so it seems like, it would be mostly moms who would sign up for this.
Right.
Then,
is your site all about potty training?
no.
But
No,
a
no,
segment
no, no.
is. But a lot of
Okay.
your popular content is what you're saying.
No, I'd say I probably have like 5 to fit in, like to do a quick start guide.
Okay, so I got hung up on the potty training. You're
Yeah.
mostly about
I'm
great
just
ideas for
thinking
parenting.
that- Yeah, right. So
So what I would do is okay, so here's an important
Sorry.
point. Right now I'm giving you a general concept. I'm giving you something to start with. My clients that I work with, once we've done this, we go into more segmentation. Because the more, like on Disney Cruise, that's a segment of my site. Mm-hmm. You might have seen Alani on there as well. Well, somebody going to Disney Cruise or going to Alani doesn't want the Disney Cruise tips. So that's segmentation. But the concept is still the same. You can give a quick start guide whether you're giving it to the entire list, or sorry, to the entire site-wide, or to a particular segment. So in your case, what I would start with, if I didn't have anything, is what would reach the broadest amount of people. 5 ways, like going back to Ralphie's example, 5 ways to quit yelling at your kids, or whatever she said, right?
yeah.
Then that's great content, and then now you can serve them up whatever you want going forward in the Forever series.
Okay.
All right? Questions? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of along the same lines. So if you, let's say I might have a food blog that has various genres. So desserts, yes. Keto, yes. And it's totally different.
Yep.
Would it make sense to do like A/B testing on different types of quick start series, or would you have one pop-up that's one thing and then maybe something at the bottom of a post that's another series?
Do you have anything going on right now?
I have like free ebook.
Okay.
You know.
So where I would start is what would cast the broadest net,
Yes. You
and
just-
I would take a guess.
Okay. Just
I would take a guess. I would look at if I didn't know off the top of my head, I'd look at my Google Analytics, and I'd say a lot of people are coming in for this keto. Or a lot of people come in because I'm all about baked goods, or whatever. You're not going to get everybody, but you're still going to be better than what you're doing right now. Not necessarily. No, you would just need to show the other quick start guide in that other segment. I'm just saying if I was getting started, you got to pick one. So I'm going to pick something general, and then I'm going to go more segmented. So I might have something for keto later, and I might have something for baked goods, and so forth. I want to do that because the person that's coming in for keto and sees a general thing, it might not hit. But they come in for keto and they see your keto guide, they're in. So the more the segmentation you can do, it's just more work, but it's the exact same concept. Yes?
Just to answer that, you can get widgets coded in per category and then serve a different kind of opt-in for each category. So if you have a keto category, you could have an email opt-in just for keto or things like that so that you can get a little bit more specific on that.
That's right.
I'm not an expert. I don't know if I warrant the microphone.
You're worthy of the microphone because you're right. You are right.
But Thrive Leads does that. Like you could put different leads on different pages. So if you have a keto.
Yeah.
And now that I have the microphone, I have to ask you a question.
Go for it.
What are you looking off at in the distance in that picture?
Oh. My smoking hot wife was over there. Yeah. Lindsay, you had a question?
I'm currently running a welcome sequence of 5 emails. Would that be replaced by the Quick Start Guide?
Is your welcome series capturing new subscribers?
Kind of. It's getting a lot of responses. People email me back when they didn't.
Then it
used
sounds
to.
like great content. What I'd be deciding is, do I move that to the Forever series? Or do I and do something else to capture new subscribers? I think in your case, if you're getting great response, wonderful. The question is, are you growing your list very fast? Then it's not working for that, but it may be working to introduce whatever the evergreen topic is that you want.
So would you run the Quick Start Guide at the same time as the welcome sequence?
Nope. I would do the quick start guide until they're done, and then I'd start. The welcome series, the Forever series, the whatever you want to call it series. Yes, ma'am.
So obviously the goal is to get all these super fans, but what about the realistically large portion that are not super fans, that are not opening up the emails? Like what is like the long-term strategy and goal to get those people engaged? Because obviously it's the people that are clicking through, those are great. But like what about trying to get the people that are not continuing?
If you are able to solve people's problems, they will open your emails and they will engage with you. If you are not solving their problems, then either it's you or it's them.
Okay.
Either way, it's okay if they leave.
Yeah, but
We
what
can-
if they're not unsubscribing? They're just like,
Then you can prune your list.
okay.
Yeah, I recommend, this is a whole other topic, but I recommend pruning your list once every 1 to 3 months. I do mine, I think, probably quarterly. And again, the answer to that is a little bit of a depends on what your goal is with having that many people on your list. Okay.
So this is actually related to my day job. I hope that's okay. So we're talking about 24-hour pacing for these journeys. We have a team at work who is doing like 10-day pacing, and we are not able to explain why it should be more frequent than that, because I feel like that gives enough time in between to let people forget you. So what is the benefit of one a day?
Okay, so let's all go all the way back to transaction mode. Let's go back to Martha. Martha does not know Becky, she does not know the cookierookie.com. She lands on that page. She loves the bang bang sauce. She also gets onto the 5 things to do with bang bang sauce QuickStart guide. All right? She's on there. Now, because remember, she doesn't know who Becky is. She doesn't care. Next time she wants a recipe, she will go to Google. So she is getting an email from Becky 5 days in a row with 5 awesome ideas that are still relevant, vaguely, to what she was thinking about a day ago. And a day ago, Becky promised to send her 5 things for 5 days. Now, by the time 5 days are done in the onboarding, if you will, they now know, by the time they're done, who Becky is, why she's awesome, and why they should keep opening. I don't know exactly the circumstances that you're talking about there, but that's, in this case, that's why I like doing that.
Okay, so people are concerned about, and I think it's not just at my day job, like in general, people get concerned about you're inundating them with emails, and now they are going to think that you are going to email them every day for forever. How do you dissuade people from that concern?
I throw it out the window. I don't care. The reason I say that is that what you're doing right now is either awesome and they're engaging, or it's not, and they are not engaging. So if you try this and you solve their problem over and over and over again, and you bring more people back to your site over and over and over again, you're going to get more superfans faster. So again, it comes back to it's not spam if you're providing value. Yes, at some point there's fatigue, which is why we don't keep sending them an email a day forever and ever. But because you guys are all very prolific content creators, you can get away with sending more emails. So, and I've seen that time and time again. I think it's time for me to go, I think is what this means. So if you have
Very subtle.
Yeah, if you have any questions about your particular circumstance, I'm going to be around afterwards, so just grab me. Thank you very much.